What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is Brett, and if you are watching this video, it is coming out on Christmas Day, and it is in fact a review for a Christmas movie that came out this year entitled Red One, starring The Rock, did I say Dwayne The Rock Johnson? I still call him The Rock. Chris Evans of Marvel fame, Lucy Liu, J.K. Simmons, a whole bunch of other people. And I wanted to talk about it because it's a new Christmas movie, and it's one of those films that was absolutely panned by the critics, but oddly enough, after I started tweeting about it, I realized that it had quite a bit of audience support, and what's most interesting is that its Rotten Tomatoes score from critics sits at about 37%, might be about that, and then its audience score sitting at about 90%, and the sentiment that I saw online echoed that, because when I posted about watching the movie, talked about it with some people on Twitter, and the vast majority of people all said that they seem to have a really good time watching this movie. It is Hollywood CGI slop. I saw somebody refer to it as brain candy, which I kind of really appreciate. And in this movie, the character of Callum Drift, and I do love that character name. I love a good character name. Callum Drift. He is the head of security for Red One, which is, of course, Santa Claus, played by J.K. Simmons. And the head of the entire agency that protects Santa Claus is Zoe, which is played by Lucy Liu. And in this movie, J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus, he is kidnapped right before Christmas, and Callum Drift, head of security, has to go off and find him with the help of Chris Evans' character, Jack O'Malley, who is a criminal. He's a gambling addict. He's a deadbeat dad. He's down on his luck. And there is the pitch for this movie, which is that Santa Claus has been kidnapped. And as right before that happens, Callum gives his letter of resignation to Santa. He says he just can't do it anymore. He says for the first time in history, there's more people on the naughty list than there are on the nice list, and it seems like nobody cares. So there's some dejectedness from his character, despite the positivity that J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus brings to the role. He says, look, it's not easy, and he tries to talk him into it, but he's not able to, and this is right before he ends up getting kidnapped. And then you're off to the races, and you find out about the evil Grilla, who is she kidnaps Santa Claus to then imprison him and take his powers so that she can basically take everybody that's on the naughty list and entrap them in magical snow globes. And if that sounds ridiculous and over the top, it is, but that's exactly what I'm looking for in an over-the-top, big-budget Hollywood Christmas movie. And I really do think that the critics, everybody loves It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody loves a movie that really hits at the heartstrings in a serious way, but not everything needs to be that. Now, there are complaints to be made about this movie, given the fact that the budget was absurd, over $250 million. There's all sorts of backroom shenanigans going on, but that's not really what you see when you see on screen here. What you see is Callum and Jack O'Malley go off on this adventure together to rescue Santa, and Jack O'Malley finds himself on a path towards redemption and change, and Callum is on his way to finding out that he can, in fact, have hope again for humanity, and that is the message of this film when it's all said and done. Now, I do have complaints about this movie. One of them is that The Rock's character is used essentially as a gigantic exposition dump, like constantly, meaning that there's all of this stuff where the character of Jack O'Malley is ostensibly us, the audience, and then he sees something insane and ridiculous, and then Callum is there to explain it in his deadpan voice. And it works in certain aspects, but it fails the show don't tell test on a lot of occasions, which can be a problem depending on how much you care or you nitpick stuff like that. I did think that The Rock and Chris Evans had good chemistry. It wasn't electric. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it worked for the film, especially given the fact that you wouldn't see them in the other way around. I couldn't have imagined The Rock in the other role. I feel like that was kind of The Rock in Red Notice, oddly enough, with Ryan Reynolds. And as much as I thought that movie was also CGI slop that, the equivalent of fast food. It didn't bother me, but it was extremely predictable, and I don't think that that works for The Rock. So in this, him in this character looking to get his faith back in humanity, I thought it really, really worked, and he hits those moments at the end as well as an actor with The Rock's range can do. My biggest complaint probably for me would have been that movies like this, they have to have elements of brightness and wonder that evoke the Christmas season, and it has those, kind of, sort of, visually, but not nearly to the level that they should have been. So the cinematography is very dark and flat, mainly because of the fact that 90% of this movie is taking place on a green screen. And given the budgets and the time constraints of Hollywood, everything feels these days, when it's at that high, even at the high budget level, a lot of CGI, it feels like it's done at permanent dusk. Look at a lot of the Marvel television shows that come out. They have this feeling of permanent dusk to hide the flaws in the CGI. The best and most fun moments you will have as far as like CGI slop in this film is when Callum and Jack go and fight evil snowmen, and they do that like in the bright light of day, and it makes a world of difference as a viewer. But look, the North Pole, which is this sprawling landscape with these this kind of modern day Hollywood CGI cinematography to it, a bit predictable, but it needed to be brighter. It needed to evoke more wonder. All it looks like is a bunch of 3D models that are kind of being hidden by the fact that it's not very bright out. And I wanted to see the wonder that seemed to inspire Santa Claus, right? Like what they talk about is Santa Claus is resolute to everything that's going on, and how does he keep that wonder? Well, a big part of that has to be shown visually through the fact that where he lives evokes that. And as you go through this, I did like to see more of Lucy Liu, of course. If you're familiar with her work, she's a fantastic actress. I was kind of waiting for a turn from her at the end, which didn't come, which I was kind of very excited about. And one of the things that it skipped two flaws. It skipped two hurdles that I was worried that it was going to trip over. One was that I thought they were going to try to redeem the villain, which they did not do, which I really, really enjoyed. I was waiting for that, and it didn't happen. They do redeem Krampus, which is, you know, that's fine. It's in this, you know, it's Santa Claus's brother. He teams up again at the end to help fight her, but they did not try to redeem her. And the other big hurdle that they did not seem to hit was that it did not end in any form of snark or cynicism. So I put spoiler alert on the title of this video. I hope if you've gotten this far. The movie ends in a very, very positive fashion, and that's what I want to see in a Christmas movie. Look, I loved Violent Night the other, was that 2 years ago, with David Harbour. And we've kind of taken the tropes of the Christmas movies, and we make them across varying genres now. But when I see a movie that's something like this, I want to see the hope that is sort of embodied by the holiday season. And this movie does this unabashedly at the end, which I was very, very thankful for. And then at the very end, what you get is a great scene that shows how Santa makes it across the world in one night. They talk in the film about how he basically spends 364 days of the year training for it, you know, so on the 365th day of the year he can do it. It also it goes and explains how he can get into condos and apartments, which I appreciate, given that's one of those things that they're going to point out to you when you're one of these people that wants to ruin it for everybody and talk about how Santa isn't real. They go and they try to answer that. So it appeals to that wonder, to that sense of joy that comes from belief in the holiday season. So it is CGI slop. The holidays is a great time of year, but they don't always need to coalesce. And I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the critics were wrong about this one. Sometimes I do believe that they take things just a bit too seriously, and the audience score is more reflective of what people are looking for in Hollywood than the critic score will ever be. I would be interested to know if anybody here took the time to go and see Red 1. It did not do well at the theaters. The fact that I watched it on Amazon Prime just a couple of weeks after it came out is indicative of its lack of success, but the positive response that I saw speaks volumes the other direction. So I would be interested to know down below, did you see Red 1? What did you think about it? What is your favorite Christmas movie? Let me know down below. Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.